Good morning, watch nerds. Well, they're like buses. A short while ago I didn't have a Seestern watch. Now I've got two. The second video review is to follow shortly. That said, I picked this one up cheap in an eBay auction with the intention of reviewing it and flipping it. But who knows? I may well sell something else and keep this one. It goes without saying that this is a homage of a watch presently retailing about 7 times the price. Like I've said in other reviews, I'm not the greatest lover of homage watches, but there are certain designs that just call out to me and I just can't afford the originals, and in some cases the originals aren't actually as good as the homages. And welcome to my unpaid and unsponsored review of the Seestern Sub 600T. Well, let's start off with the dimensions. Well, the case is 40mm, the lug width is 20mm, the lug to lug is 47.6mm, and the depth is 13.4mm. And with all the links included, it weighs about 178 grams. This makes the watch reasonably substantial, but more than wearable. And this was the box it was delivered in. It's a hard plastic case. It's foam lined. Inside there's a warranty. It doesn't say how long and it's not signed. The instructions that nobody reads. And there's my spare links, and it comes with a little screwdriver to help you adjust the bracelet. It's not premium, but it does the job. And this is my watch of the day. It's the Nera Rogue. It's a 39mm diver, designed in Romania but made in Switzerland. And it's got a Solita SW200 movement inside it. Beautiful watch. 7mm crown is partially recessed into the case. It's very well knolled, operates the movement perfectly, and engages very well. Needless to say, it's placed at the 4 o'clock in keeping with the original. The Sub 600T has a claimed water resistance of 200 metres, meaning it can be used for most water sports. Inside is the good old Seiko NH35 movement. This movement is used in numerous watches, some costing several times more than this one. It's rugged, it's reliable, and if regulated correctly can be quite accurate. Unfortunately, the regulation can be a bit hit and miss on these movements, but we'll get to that in a minute. Now it ticks away at 21,600 beats per hour, it hacks, it hand winds, and it's got a power reserve of about 41 hours. Now let's see what the time grapher thinks of it. And this looks very healthy, a great beat error, a good amplitude, and this reads +4 seconds a day, so no issues there. The crystal is a flat sapphire with some AR coating on the underside. The case is an unusual shape, yet still quite comfortable without any sharp edges. For a watch this price, the finishing is actually astonishing. It's almost solely satin brushed, with a polished transition that runs the length of the case. The case back screws down and is nicely engraved with the wave pattern. There is also some basic information around the edges. This is very nicely done, and I wish they'd done something similar with their vintage GMT watch, which I'll be reviewing shortly. Now, I believe the original had a steel bezel like this one. However, Seestern have released this watch with a ceramic insert. To be honest, if I hadn't have bought this used model, I would have chosen that one, albeit it does cost a little bit more. It's a 120 click bezel, it all lines up perfectly, it's got no back play or wobble, and the resistance is excellent. Again, considering the very reasonable price of this watch, and we'll get to that shortly, I'm more than impressed. Now let's have a little listen. I absolutely love this style, mainly because of the offset text. This makes it a bit quirky and very unusual. The watch actually comes in several other colour options, but for me this is the only one that really works. The chunky hands are as unusual as the dial layout, and like the indices are filled with BGW9 loom. I should also mention that the date window at 3 o'clock is also loomed. Now, in regards to loom on this watch, well, it's excellent. Although the hands do last longer than the indices, Now let's have a look at that loom. Now I described this bracelet as being semi-integrated and a cross between an engineer and an oyster. The tops are very nicely brushed whilst the sides are polished. The solid endlings fit really well to the case but don't have quick release spring bars. Now it tapers down from 20mm to 18mm, then back up to 20mm at the clasp. For easy adjustment there are very well engineered screw pins, and for size adjustment this was really easy. Now the clasp is good but not brilliant. It's half milled, half pressed, it's got 6 micro adjusts, which is plenty, double pushers and a flip lock. Unfortunately the flip lock is polished, so it's going to pick up the scratches a bit, but it's nicely signed. Like all Seestern watches, this watch is, well, it's crazy cheap to be honest. These are available from about $175, so if you live in the UK, expect to pay about £170 after you've factored in duty. Now to be honest, you may even pick them up a bit cheaper. Now I managed to pick this used but mint one up from a UK eBay seller for a little bit less than that. Now I don't think I need to tell you whether I think this is good value for money, especially as you'd actually struggle to make one yourself at this sort of price. I found no QC issues, but is there anything I would change? Perhaps it would be nice if the indices were loomed as well as the hands, and perhaps the case wears a little bit flat on a smaller wrist. But other than that, there's very little to dislike about this watch, but there's so much to like about it though. In keeping with the 1980s original, the dial layout and hands are unusual, but unusual in a nice way. The case finishing is outstanding, and the bracelet, well, it's excellent. So in summary, Seestern really are up there with the best of the Chinese brands, but I still feel that San Martin still have slightly better bracelets. To be honest, I believe the overall quality and finishing easily matches up to some of the lesser Swiss brands. I would love them to be brave enough to experiment with their own designs, but at the same time, I understand the risk. Now San Martin have done this a few times, but it's always their homages that have the volume sales. So will I keep this? Well, I still don't know, but I'm very tempted. Now that brings me to the end of this review, so if you enjoyed it, please click on the like button, subscribe if you haven't already, make sure you leave your comments below, and most importantly, enjoy the rest of your day.